Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Welcome if you are new. My name is Mandy, and today we're going to be prepping some baked items for the week. So I just went into my overflow pantry and got my great big container of flour. It's just easier to measure out of, and I need to fill up my flour container in my kitchen pantry. So last night I decided to make some French bread. We were having brats for dinner and I needed some kind of like homemade bun. So I just used my French bread recipe to make some smaller buns out of the French bread. And I also made some raspberry bars. So let me show you that here.
So I am making some smaller loaves that I'm hoping to use as hot dog buns for dinner. We're having some brats and I wanted some buns as an option to eat your brat on. And then the larger loaves we are making for French bread pizzas to go in the freezer. Alright, so now we're working on the crust for the raspberry bars. I am very low on butter, so I'm using this butter powder. I just keep it in my pantry for times when I don't have any butter. And you just mix it with a little bit of water until it becomes that like softened butter consistency, and it worked out perfectly. This is homemade raspberry jam that I made back in February of last year. It didn't quite set as thick as it was supposed to, so I've been using it as a raspberry sauce. But before I pour it onto the crust, I'm going to put it on the stove and let it thicken up a little bit. I'm going to add a cornstarch slurry and just thicken it a little before I pour it on top of the crust.
And I also I started some rustic bread bread loaf. This is kind of it's kind of a take on sourdough, honestly. So what you do first, you have to make the they call it a poolish. It's like a pre-ferment, pretty much. You're going to take 150 grams of flour and 150 grams of water. You're going to add a pinch of yeast. Now, little fun fact, that is actually how I start my sourdough starter. I use flour, water, yeast, and a potato. So that's fun. So I took that mixture, I let it sit overnight. It rose really high last night before I went to bed. This morning when I woke up, it had fallen, but I think it's going to be totally fine because it's got that yeast in there. So this morning, I went ahead and added 280 grams of water, 2 grams of yeast. I stirred that up together, and then I added 350 grams of all purpose flour, 50 grams of whole wheat flour, and 10 grams of salt. You're going to mix that together really, really well. And then you take your hand and you kind of squeeze it and pinch it to make sure it's mixed all together. And you're going to let it sit for 30 minutes. After that 30 minutes goes by, you're going to uncover it and do a fold technique. It's the same technique you use for when you're making sourdough bread. You're kind of just lifting the sides and folding them over, and you're kind of building that gluten in the dough. So that is where I'm at with this right now. As you can see, it's nice and poofy and it's risen. It's actually ready for us to do another stretch and fold, the last stretch and fold. So we're going to be doing that right now. I have a list. So we're going to use the French bread that we made last night. We're going to use those to make some French bread pizzas and put them in the freezer for lunches. I'm also going to make some granola. I have some yogurt and I really want some more granola. So I'm going to play with a different recipe. I made one a couple of weeks ago with honey. It was good, but I just don't think I like the strong taste of honey in my granola, in my homemade granola anyway. I like store-bought honey granola, like honey almond, but I don't know. For some reason, I didn't really care for it in my homemade granola. So we're going to play around with the recipe with that. Also, I'm almost out of butter. I have 1 cup of butter in the fridge, and I'm kind of hoarding it in case I can't find any on sale this week. It's going to be tough. I didn't mention, but I'm doing a pantry and freezer challenge for the month of January, and I'm only giving myself $25 a week and $100 for the whole month. So that's why I'm prepping some homemade goodies because we're not buying much at the store. So anyway, I need to make some of these recipes without butter. So we've got French bread pizzas, granola, we got the crusty bread. I have some bananas that really need to be used. My bananas do not last long, like at all. I don't know if it's a season or what, but these need to be made into some banana bread today. I don't know if I'm going to do banana bread or muffins. We'll decide that later. And I'm going to make like a half batch of Rice Krispie treats. I did make those raspberry bars last night, and I had one for dessert. Clayton had one for dessert, and Clayton took one in his lunch today. So there's 5 left in here. He even mentioned this morning, he's like, why don't you wait to make another treat until these are all gone? And I was like, well, because today's the day that I put aside time to make this video, and Caitlin and my son don't really care for those. So I'm just going to make a half batch of Rice Krispie treats and bag those up, and we will have those as snacks for during the week. And I have a lot of Rice Krispies and plenty of marshmallows, so if I need to whip up another batch at some time, I totally can. Okay, so let's go ahead and get started. First thing we're going to do is we're going to do our stretch and folds and try to shape this bread into a ball of dough. All right, before I got started, I was going to make myself another cup of coffee, but I thought, no, I took my vitamins. I'm going to drink some water. So I have a big glass of ice water here with a splash of lemon. Now we're going to get started on this bread. Hopefully it's not overproofed. This is my first time making this recipe. So what you want to do is get your hand really wet. I like to leave the water on and keep dipping my hand back into it, but you don't have to do that. So you're going to stretch it and fold it over. Stretch and fold. That water is probably too loud. I'm sorry. just get a bowl of water and dip my hand in it. Make sure my microphone's still on because the light keeps going out. I'm going to have to stop and charge it for a few minutes. Stretch and fold. So we're going to do this a couple times until we've gone all the way around, and then I'll show you what we're going to do. It's getting a little bit more difficult to stretch and fold. Just turn the bowl. All right, now I'm going to get both hands wet. And we're going to pick it up and kind of like let it fold together on itself and put it back down in the bowl like that. I had to stand on my tippy toes because I'm so short. So now what we're doing is trying to form it into a ball. That's as good as it's going to get. All right, that's good enough. We're going to leave that for a second. Sit for an hour. Instead of covering it with a towel, I'm going to cover it with plastic wrap. I wonder if I should mess with it a little bit more. Let's do a couple more. I had to go back and watch the video. In the video, I'll link it below, it was like a really nice firm dough. I think that I've gotten my hands so wet that it's just not making quite a good dough. I really want it to turn out. Okay, you guys you're learning along with me here. So that is as good as it's gonna get. So it's now been rising for an hour, and we're gonna do one more hour, but we're not gonna do any stretch and folds during this hour. I'm gonna set it over on the other side of the oven. It's nice and warm over here. I'm also going to get my oven turned back on. It was just on keep warm because I was trying to keep the dough warm. This morning it was cold in here, so I'm going to start the oven, preheat at 350, and I need to get my banana bread recipe out. So, oh, I flipped right to it. I believe this recipe I got off of another channel. I think it was Moss Family TV years ago. One year, Fallon was like trying out a couple of different banana bread recipes, and I tried this one and I liked it. So I'm gonna keep making it. I've been making it for years, but you know what I mean. So I think I'm gonna use this bowl. My daughter got me this bowl set. It's Pioneer Woman for Christmas. So it's nice to have pretty bowls to work with. So first we are going to mix our dry ingredients. So we need another bowl, or do we? Nah, not going to do that. I'm going to mix the wet ingredients in here and then just add the dry ingredients to it. So egg, oil, and sugar. Let's get those ingredients out. I keep this little bottle of canola oil in my pantry, and I need to refill it. So I got the big one out. Got some eggs. Now, it's going to be a restocking day. I need to restock my sugar. So let me get my bulk container out of my pantry. I think I've decided that I'm going to make banana bread like in a loaf pan, because sometimes my kids don't want to eat muffins. I think having it sliced and in the fridge, they'll eat it a little bit better. So in this bowl, we're going to mix 1 egg, how much oil? Oh, half a cup of oil. Let's see if I can do this without spilling it everywhere. Oh, you know what? I have some applesauce I need to use. Let's see if I can pour this back in there. Actually, I'm not even sure it's still good, but let's just see. I'd love to make this with applesauce instead. Let's get that out and see. And this has been in my fridge for a while, but it smells good and it looks good, so we're going to use it. Need to use it up. Half a cup of oil instead of, or half a cup of applesauce instead of oil. I don't think there's anything else I'm making today that can use that, but we'll see. And then 1 1/8 cups of sugar. I believe an eighth is 2 tablespoons, so just going to do a heaping cup. Actually, just going to do a cup. Make it a tiny bit healthier, right? Okay, now we're going to mix that together. Okay, now mix flour mixture with egg, oil, and sugar. And the batter is going to be really dry, and you're going to think that you did something wrong, but that's the way the recipe reads, and that's the way we're going to do it. It works out in the end. Trust me. All right, so I think this might have originally been like a Starbucks copycat. I don't remember. All right, we need, how much flour do we need? 2 cups of flour. Okay, 1. No, we're just going to mix the other dry ingredients like on top with the flour, and it'll be fine. 2 cups of flour, and then 1 teaspoon of baking powder. I meant to empty my dishwasher this morning before I started, but I didn't. So Caitlin will have to do it. I need to wake her up. 1 teaspoon baking powder. Fourth of a teaspoon of salt. Okay. And we're going to mix that together, but not with this whisk. Very thick. Now we're going to add in 3 mashed bananas. Uh-oh. That's right. They're big bananas. It'll be fine. Put this to the side and mash these bananas. Some people don't even mash their bananas. They just put them in the bowl and mix them up, but this is the way my grandmother did it, and I don't like chunks of banana in my banana bread. I just like the flavor and how it makes it moist. I'm going to take a break really quick and go wake Caitlin up so she can get started on her day. Ugh. Be right. All right, I'm back. Sip of water. My banana's good. I was here mashing it while I was talking to my son before he left for work. So we're gonna just add this to our very thick dough. Just go back over all the ingredients and make sure I didn't forget anything. Flour, baking soda, salt, 1 egg, sugar, oil. Oh, it calls for 2 tablespoons of buttermilk. I don't have any buttermilk. I'll add 2 tablespoons of regular milk. Okay, so this is all that's left. So we're just going to use what's left in there. I have 1 more gallon in the garage. And vanilla. Every time I use this, I have to tell you guys that it's so good. It's a very strong vanilla.
All right, and this is where my microphone died. So we're just gonna speed up the rest of this banana bread and get it in the oven. I'm gonna pour it in the... I'm also going to refill some of these containers before I put them back in the pantry. All right, I had to ditch the microphone because it needed to charge and my phone needed to charge. And my microphone doesn't connect to my phone. I have to plug this little piece into the charger port in my iPhone, and I had to take it out to charge it. So anyway, the perks of filming from your phone. All right, so in this bowl I need 1.5 cups of oats. I actually haven't been using a lot of oats lately, so I'm glad to be using some up. I think the last time I made oatmeal, I made half of a batch, but I really enjoyed like snacking on it, not just eating it on my oatmeal or on my yogurt. Okay. Now the next ingredients, all that matters is that you have the right amount of everything. So it calls for coconut. I'm not using coconut because I don't have any. So I'm gonna use these slivered almonds I bought for something and a tiny bit of pecan. So this is gonna be like a brown sugar almond oatmeal. All right, let me look at, so you need 1.5 cups of other ingredients. I should put some cranberries in here. That sounds good. Maybe I will. Okay, so I'm just gonna try to break these pecans up a little bit with my hands. I think I have more pecans. I think in the outside freezer. I had bought them before, I think before Thanksgiving. They were on sale at Walmart, and I noticed while I was browsing online, and I ordered a couple bags, and I don't think I've used them all. I think there's some hiding in the freezer, but nah, I gotta go through that freezer and find it. I still have not gone through my outside freezer and done inventory or anything, so that's fun. All right, what did I say, 1.5 cups? So there's 1 cup. Should I do cranberries? Just add some more almonds. Give it a nice crunch. Okay. Now we'll just mix those up a little bit. Ooh, that looks nice. Okay. I've got the recipe pulled up here on my laptop. So, 1 tablespoon coconut sugar. I don't have coconut sugar, so I'm gonna use brown sugar. I'm kind of adjusting this recipe using what I have. I was looking for a recipe that didn't call for honey and didn't call for butter. So we're gonna do 1 tablespoon of brown sugar, 1/4 teaspoon of salt. That's good. 3 tablespoons of coconut oil, and I think we need that melted. All right, I'm just going to put it in this little cup and microwave it. I'm probably doing this wrong. I think what I'm gonna do, put the brown sugar in this bowl too. I think you have to heat all this up together. All right, 3 tablespoons of coconut oil. This coconut oil is rock hard. 1. I just bent my tablespoon. 2. 3. All right, then it calls for, oh, 1/3 cup. I thought it said 1/2 cup. I need to put my glasses on. 1/3 cup of maple syrup, but I have this sugar-free syrup. I've had it in my pantry for a while. I think I'm just gonna use this. 1/3 cup. I know it means like pure maple syrup, but I'm using what I have. Okay. And then it calls for vanilla, but I'm not gonna put that in the microwave. All right, that's pretty much melted. There's a little coconut oil floating in there, but that's okay. I need 1 teaspoon of vanilla. And I'm gonna mix that into this bowl. That smells good. Hot. Ooh, that's hot. I wanted to try this one. All right, it says preheat oven to 325. Oh yeah, you were supposed to heat the coconut oil and maple syrup in a saucepan for 2 to 3 minutes. Whoops. Okay. 325 and my bread is at 350. Arrange on a parchment-lined baking sheet and spread in an even layer. Bake 20 minutes, then remove from oven and turn the pan around so the other end goes in first. To keep it chunky, don't stir during baking or right after. Okay, no stirring. All right, the banana bread won't be done for 26 minutes at least. So what I'm gonna do is clean up my mess, do some dishes, and then we will make the Rice Krispie treats since they don't need to go in the oven, and then we'll move on to the French bread pizzas. So let me clean up again and we'll be right back.
All right, in an effort to save on butter, because I didn't put butter with Rice Krispie treats. Like in my mind, I didn't think, oh, I need butter for Rice Krispie treats. I'm going to do 5 tablespoons instead of 6 because a whole recipe is 12 tablespoons. Cutting in half, it's 6. I'm using 5. Okay. All right. So I need 5 ounces of marshmallows. I have this open bag. I'm just going to weigh out 5 ounces. Oh, I might need more. Nope. It's good. It's 5.7. It's fine. Maybe I'll take some out to add at the end. I don't know. Do you guys ever make those Rice Krispie treats where they add in mini marshmallows at the end? Do they use part of the 10 ounces or do they add more? I wonder. Okay, anyway. Oh yeah, it says 2 10-ounce bags divided. Huh. Okay, we're going with this. 10-ounce bag, yeah, that's what I usually do. So this might be for a double batch. I might need to cut the Rice Krispies in like 4s. All right, I think that was the timer for the granola, but it did not look done and the bread wasn't done either. So I put a timer for 10 minutes back on the stove. So, all right, what am I doing here? I need to measure out 4 cups of Rice Krispie treats. And the recipe I looked up calls for a lot of marshmallows. 2 10-ounce packages for 8 cups of Rice Krispies. That sounds crazy. But it says they're the best ever, so 3. One more. Maybe I should get some more marshmallows. Maybe I want to make the best ever Rice Krispie treats. Yeah, let's dump those in there. Okay, calls for 8.5, so 4 1/4. That looks good. I wasn't weighing it. It just still had the scale here. All right, let's see if I have more marshmallows in the kitchen. Oh, you know what I have? I have these. I'll just throw them in there and refill this. I think my other marshmallows are in my overflow pantry. Oh, new mess. Okay. I also just got this like 8x8 square pan out and lined it with parchment paper. This is a little wet. Ooh, it smells really good, but still really light in color. I think I'm going to bump the oven up to 350. The bread is, yeah, almost done. A couple more minutes. All right, I took the granola out. It's starting to get brown around the edges and it just looks really good. So now I'm going to let this cool completely before breaking it apart. Oh, and the vanilla bread looks good. I'm going to test it with a toothpick to make sure it's done. It's done. So I'm going to turn the oven up to 500, put my cast iron pot in there, and we are going to deal with this loveliness. Look how bubbly it is. It's amazing. So you need a surface to work on. This is clean. I don't know what that is. I'm going to fairly heavily flour my cutting board because my dough was so wet. So put some flour on your board or your counter, whatever. We're just going to put our dough on top of the flour. Come on! All right. Okay, and we're going to form it into a ball. I'm gonna flour my hands. Okay, and then the directions where once you get it into a ball, you're going to take two ends and kind of cross them over each other and keep turning it and repeating that. You want kind of a tight ball. Okay, I think it looks good. We're gonna flip it over and we're gonna kind of try to shape it. I feel like my dough is a lot wetter than what was on the video. So I'm just gonna do like I do with my rolls, just kind of tuck in the bottom, keep turning it and tucking it. Yeah, that's better. Is your video over, Caitlin? Is your video over? All right, and I believe this, makes a nice crust. So you don't want to skip this step. You want to get a nice tight, like skin over the top. Oh, my hand's getting sticky. Oh no. Okay, let's just not keep messing with it. Let's just leave it like that. That looks good. Okay, now I need to get a bowl out. I think I'm just going to use a bowl I had. Make sure you drink some water. All right, I'm going to line it with a really thin cloth. And you're going to flour it really well because you don't want your dough to stick to your towel. And it's not going to stay in this towel. It's just going to sit and rest in this towel while your pan is heating up. So go ahead and flour the top of your dough really well. And then you're going to flip it over and put it in your bowl. And that's it. Ta-da! Oops. I'm just going to lay this, well, let's put a little bit more flour on it. I'll just cover it with this plastic. And this is just going to sit here until your 30 minutes is up on your Dutch oven. You want your Dutch oven to be in the oven for 30 minutes. I'm going to go ahead and cover this with the towel as well, just so it doesn't dry out. Okay, put it right here next to the warm oven. And I'll see you in about 25 minutes.